आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। I was just thinking, if some of you are confident of reading, and many of you will be confident, I'm sure, why don't we try this, that in every class, one person takes on, reads only about 10 or 15 verses. Let's stick to 15 verses. And the others can read with muted. Like we do when we hear the audio, we all chant alongside, but muted. So instead of the audio, how would you like that? Would you like to try that? Some of you can, yeah, Divyansh?
Yes,
I'm
sure,
sure many of you are capable of reading quite comfortably. Yeah, we will try that for the next week. We'll read the 10th verse, which we're going to be doing today. Janamyaham shevidiritya nityam.
Janamyaham Shevadivitya Nityam.
Nahi dhruvaihi prapyate hi dhruvam tat.
नहि
Nidhruvaihi Prapyate
ध्रुवं
Dhruvam
तत्
Tat.
Tato maya nachiketaschitognihi.
ततो
Tato
मया
Maya
नचिकेतस्योऽग्निः
Nachiketashvagnihi.
Anityai dravyai praptavanasmi nityam.
अनित्यै
Anityai
द्रव्यै
Dravyai
प्राप्तवानस्मि
Praptavanasmi
नित्यम्।
Nityam.
This title given in this book, this is the Gita Press book. I like that. Karma Phalki Anitya. So the whole verse is saying is about recognizing that any karma phala is anitya. Karma is anitya, karma phala is anitya. So the word used in the text is shevadhihi. Shevadhihi literally means anything that's produced, any product, tangible product or intangible product, doesn't matter. Any tangible or intangible product is called shevadhihi. Acharya interprets it slightly differently, saying shevadhihi is nidhihi. Nidhi is wealth, treasure. And then he also says it is karma phala. And why he says they are the same is because any treasure, typically most people want, long for, and strive for, make effort towards. And they do the same thing with karma phala, which they want. So they do karma for an agreeable karma phala. So you interpret this word shevadihi as karma phala. So the way the title is given in the book is karma phalasya anityatvam. We can read this verse, Anvaya, do an Anvaya, it's probably very easy to understand. So if you do an Anvaya in this, it will become Shevadihi anityam iti aham janami. Shevadihi anityam iti aham janami. So Shevadihi meaning we've looked at any karma phala is anityam. Therefore, any karma I do for the gain of any karma phala will be anityam. Then, adhruvaihi tat dhruvam nahi prapyate. Adhruvaihi, by any of the several adhruvaihi. Adhruvaihi is all that is finite, all that is limited. Any such thing cannot produce anantyam, because a nityam, a dhruvam is that which doesn't change. Because a dhruvam cannot be produced. If it's produced, it's anityam automatically. Anything that's produced, tangible or intangible, I mean, like a thought, a feeling, etc., is also intangible, but also the produced. Anityam, it comes, goes, comes, goes. Any object comes, goes. Some of them may be very long. You have huge mountains. They may last for thousands of years, but still anityam. Lokas, anityam. Everything is anityam. Anything that is created or produced is anityam. So he says, by these anitya vastu, adhruvaihi, dhruvam, this dhruvam is nityam atma, cannot be got, gained. Because this nityam atma is not to be gained. It is there. You cannot create it. You cannot, something new that's not coming up. And then the next sentence is interesting. Tataha maya anityaihi dravyaihi he nachiketaha agnihi chitaha. Normally, tataha is it would be translated as therefore. But here the meaning is literally the opposite. The usage is very funny. Even though I know that any anitya vastu, any anitya karma phala cannot give me nitya vastu, access to nitya vastu. Let's say access to nitya vastu, because nitya vastu always is there. Cannot give me access to nitya vastu. Even then, at that time, which time? When I was also striving like this, perhaps when I had a janma on the Martya Loka, when I was also a Manushya, even though I knew that this Anitya Vastu cannot give me, I did not have the wisdom that you now exhibit. Hey Nachiketa, I did not have that wisdom. I was still doing that Agni Yajna, Agni Chitaha, because I wanted to gain something which is apekshika nitya, which is relatively nitya. You are way better than me. Today I have understood, therefore I am sitting here as your guru. But when I was trying for this, I didn't know. I knew it was the same, but I still kept trying for this because I didn't know any better. So, tataha maya anityaihi dravyaihi agnihi chitaha. By me this was done. And by doing this, Agni Chita, which now is called Nachiketa Agnihi, what happened? I got this position. I got entry into Devaloka. And that is any such entry into any loka is my own doing, one's own doing. By doing this Nachiketa Agnihi, or whatever it was called at that time, it had a different name perhaps. I gained this apekshika nitya yamya padam. They say that all these karma, we will see in the next mantra also, if you do only karma, you know these 7 levels of lokas, it's about the positive lokas and 7 levels of negative lokas. You can reach up to a point in these positive lokas by doing karma as prescribed by the Vedas, remaining within the ambit of dharma. But if you do karma and upasana together, we've seen this in Ishavasya Upanishad. If you do karma alone, you can gain certain levels of loka. But if you do karma and upasana together, you can go all the way up to Brahmaloka. You can gain all the way up to Brahmaloka. So he has done this and gained this loka. And it also says, whichever loka you're focusing on in your upasana, in your meditation, in your japa, you become that. You become that. And therefore, what he has apparently done is to look at focus on this loka, Deva loka, and therefore he got Tena, by that Chitagnihi, Nachiketagnihi, Aham Nityam Praptavan Asmi. I have gained this Nityam. But this Nityam is not the Nityam I really want. This Nityam is Apekshika Nityam. We saw yesterday how any of these has got a cycle and it will go away. This Apekshika Nityam, what I didn't understand that I was looking for was that Nityam which is not bound by time or space or vastu. Desha Kala Vastu Aparichinna, which itself, in fact, is the cause of space, cause of time, and cause of everything else. I didn't probably realize that. Hey, Nachiketa, you're there already. You are able to see that there is something more to gain than this. Even at this young age, you are able to see this. So that's the way you break this down and see the Anvaya, it becomes that much easier to understand. So, or Bhashyakara says, Punarapi tushtaha aha. Punarapi aha. Being very happy seeing Nachiketa, the way he is dealing with this. Punarapi aha. He says, now this is what he said. Janamyaham shevadhi rittinityam nahi Dhruvaihi adhruvaihi prapyatehi dhruvam tat tato maya nachiketas chitognihi tandita anityaihi dravyaihi praptavan asmi nityam. Bashyam. Janamyaham shevadihi nidhihi
Janamyaham Shevadihi Nidhi
Janamaham Shevadihi Nidhihi
karma phala lakshanaha
Karma Phala
Lakshanaha
nidhihi iva
Nidhi
इव
prarthayate iva iti.
पार्थयत इति
Prarthayata iti
Prarthayate, Bhartayatha, it is written there. That is because of Sandhi rules. Word is Prarthayate iva. Janamyaham, I know. What do I know? Shevadihi, and here Acharya says, Shevadihi Nidhihi. Nidhi is treasure. But this treasure, he says, you should interpret as karma phala lakshanaha. Anything that you can gain as a karma phala because of certain karma that you have done. Karma phala lakshanaha. Nidhi iva. Like a treasure. Everybody works for it, longs for it, makes an effort, does a lot of karma. So this Shevadihi, he says, one should understand as karma phala. And this karma phala, asau anityam.
Asau anityam.
Karma phala is anityam. Any karma phala you take, there is no nityatvam about it. It may be long time, but it's still within time. Our time concept is past, present, and future. And somehow we think of past as going all the way because we can't imagine anything beyond a certain point. Same thing with the future. But this entire thing is a product, is a karya of the Atma. A mithya karya, but karya all the same. Therefore, when you use words like trikala atitaha, trikala atitaha, that which is not within these three time frames, past, present, and future, trikala atitaha, because kala itself is a product. Time itself is a product. Time is not absolute, as Einstein discovered when he was trying to understand this mathematically. So, asau anityam, actually it is, Shruti has a lot of license. Anityam, it says, which Shankaracharya says we should read as anitya. Iti janami. I know this Shevadhi, which is the karma phala, is anityam, which should be understood as karma phala. Asau anityam, anitya. Iti janami. Nahi yasmat anityaihi
Nahi yasmat
Yasmat anityaihi
adhruvaihi
adhruvaihi
nityam dhruvam
nityam
nityam
dhruvam
dhruvam
tat prapyate
tat
tat
prapyate
paramatmakhya shevadhihi.
paramatma
Paramatya
devadihi
Yasmat anityaihi adhruvaihi nityam dhruvam na prapyate. You can never gain this nityam. Very simply this. Anityam is within time frame. Nityam has nothing to do with time frame. You know, at the first stage when we learn, we are told Nityam is that which exists in all three times, past, present, future. Now we've got to go understand it even more. It is not that it is present, past, present, future. Past, present, and future are in this Nitya Vastu. That we have to understand. So you cannot, something which is within a product of the Nitya Vastu, how are you going to use that to reach Nitya Vastu? Somehow I will find the Nitya Vastu from within this. No, you can't. You are bound. Time binds you. Therefore he says, Yasmat anityaihi adhruvaihi nityam dhruvam na prapyate. And what is the nityam dhruvam? Paramatmakyam Shevadihi. That which is called Paramatma. Paramatma here is Brahman. And we know by now that at least from a perspective of just knowledge, we know Paramatma, Brahman, I are the same. Even though that grasp as Aproksha may not have entered, we know that that is the way it is because we have learnt enough of that. Paramatmakyah Shevadihi na prapyate. Very good. This Shevadihi which we're talking about, which is essentially trying to gain certain amount of sukha. What kind of sukha? Yahatu
Yahatu
Anitya Sukhatmakah
Anitya
Anitya
Sukhatmakaha
Sukhatmakaha
Shevadihi
Shevadihi
Devadihi
Saha Eva Anityaihi Dravyaihi
Saha
सह
Eva
एव
Anityaihi
नित्यैः
Dravyaihi
द्रव्यैः
Prapyate.
Prapyate
Anityaihi Dravyaihi Prapyate. What? Only Anitya Sukhatmakah Shevadihi. With any object, anything at all, which is Anitya, that Anitya Vastu, by that Anitya Vastu, you can only gain Anitya Sukha. We know this. Any Laukika Sukha that we are gaining, what are we trying for in trying this various karma phala? I do this karma, like our Yamadharma Raja did all the karma. What did he get? He got Devaloka. He got access to Devaloka. But that's also Anitya. By any Anitya karma, any Anitya Vastu, you can only get Anitya Sukha. So, Anityaihi Dravyaihi Yahatu Anitya Sukhatmakaha Sa Eva Prapyate. By this Anitya, anything that you do, anything that you use lot of things in the process of doing something. All of them can give you only Anitya Sukha. Not only can they give you only Nitya Sukha, we know the doshas that we have encountered in trying to gain Sukha by karma. What are the three doshas we've seen? There is a dosha of Anityatvam. It can never be Nitya. It will always end. We also know that there is never a situation where you get only Sukha. There will always be components of Dukkha before, during, and after. And we also know, because this is Anitya, and because this seems to give us some level of comfort, some level of Sukha, we have a tendency to say, let me try more of this. Maybe if I have this much, I will gain this small amount of Sukha, but if I have more, I will have more Sukha. Which of course we know is not true. We know that all of these things, the law of diminishing returns kicks in. Whether you like it or not, the first sweet is very satisfying. So let me take one more, is less satisfying. You take one more, it's even less satisfying. By the fourth sweet, you have a sulfate of sugar. You don't want any more. Correct? Anything you take, same thing. Atripti. You can't stop. So with all these doshas, and here is focusing on the anityatvam only, by using anitya vastu, you can only get anitya sukham. So any karma, this is very clear this thing of where Acharya in many places says karma are not going to give you moksha. Moksha is nityam. Karma cannot get you there. Because any karma is anityam, karma phala is anityam. It can only get you up to a point, anitya only. So, na prapyate. Then what he says, yataha
यतः
ataha tasmat
ततः तस्मात्
maya janata api
मया
मया
जानता
जानता
अपि
अपि
nityam anitya sadhanaihi
नित्यम्
नित्यम्
अनित्यसाधनैः
अनित्यसाधनैः
na
साधनैः
prapyate iti
न प्राप्यते
प्राप्यते इति
इति
nachiketah chitah
नाचिकेतः
नाचिकेतः
चितः
चितः
agnihi anityaihi dravyaihi
अग्निः
अग्निः अनित्यैः
अनित्यैः
द्रव्यैः
द्रव्यैः
pashvadibihi swarga sukha sadhana bhutognihi
पश्वादिभिः
पश्वादिभिः
स्वर्गसुखसाधनभूतैः
स्वर्गसुखसाधनभूतैः
nirvartitah
निर्वर्तितः
निर्वर्तितः
ityarthah.
इत्यर्थः
I know all this. I'm now telling you all this. That anitya vastu, anitya dravyai cannot give you access to that nitya vastu. Even then, at that time, the clarity was not there perhaps. When I was doing all this, yataha, tataha, tasmat, maya janata api, even though I knew, I had knowledge. What knowledge? Nityam anitya sadhanaihi. By anitya sadhana, nityam na prapyate. You cannot gain nityam. I knew this. Despite that, even though I knew this, without this kind of clarity that you have exhibited, I didn't have the clarity. Iti, what did I do? Nachiketaha chitaha agnihi. I did this Nachiketa Agni. And what is the Nachiketa Agnihi? Anityaihi dravyaihi. I used all these dravyangal which you use for any yajna, all of them anityam. What do you use in the yajna? All this dravya sadhanangal, then all the dhanam that you give, all the dakshina you give, all that part of the yajna. So, anityaihi dravyaihi pashvadibhi, pashu adibhi, pashvadibhi. All the dhanam, during yajna, I give all this dhanam, wealth is given away. All that I did, all of these are what? For what? Swarga sukha sadhana bhutognihi. They are means to gain Swarga Sukha, Devaloka Sukha. I use them. Now I know that they cannot give me access to the Nitya Vastu. Because the Nitya Vastu is I. Where am I going to look for the Nitya Vastu's access? I only have to understand that. Swarga Sukha Sadhana Bhutognihi Nirvartitaha, not Nivartita, Nirvartitaha. I performed. Ityarthaha. So, Acharya explains what Dharmaraja is saying. That I did this Nachiketa Agnihi using Dravya, which is Anityam. This Yajna itself is Anityam karma. To gain Swarga Sukha. I only wanted to gain Swarga Sukham. I didn't realize that that is Apekshika Sukham. I told you, in those lokas, time frames are very different from the Martyaloka time frames. So what looks like huge time, centuries perhaps, when measured on earth years, probably very short time in other lokas. Therefore, I didn't realize, therefore I thought I will gain a Nitya Sukham, not realizing that is only Apekshika Nityam. By doing that, what did I get? I did the Nachiketa Agnihi, and I did gain something, obviously. Anything you do, you'll gain something as long as you do it rightly. Tena aham adhikara apannaha. By that, tena aham adhikara apannaha. I gained some adhikaritvam. For what? Yamyasthanam.
Yamyasthanam.
Yamyam sthanam, sorry. Yamyam sthanam is the position of Yama. I gained that. It is one of the several Deva positions. You get what you pray for. So what yajna you do, you will gain that. So I gained that. I gained that Yamyam sthanam called Swarga, Swargakhyam. I gained the Nityam, or what I thought was Nityam. But Nityam was Apekshikam Praptavan Asmi.
Apekshidam praptavan asmi.
So Tena Maham Adhikara Pannaha Nityam Yamyam Sthanam Swargakhyam Nityam Apekshikam Praptavan Asmi. I gained this. I gained the Sthanam as Yama. Maybe after he started doing this job, he realized there are problems with that also. Nobody wants to see other people cry. Very funny this, when people die, somebody explained this to me many years ago. Why do you feel hurt? Why do you feel like crying? And he said that you define yourself in a different way. I am the son of so-and-so. I am the brother of so-and-so. I am the father of so-and-so. I am the friend of so-and-so, etc., etc. So when one of them dies, it feels that a part of me has died because by definition, I am father of so-and-so. Therefore, by that definition, a part of me dies and therefore I'm unhappy. But in many cultures, sometimes I see even in when somebody dies, people who are otherwise very balanced, very highly objective in their life, cry helplessly. I don't know what happens. Just cry helplessly. And it's shocking to see, because those people, you have a certain image you formed of them, saying that they are extremely balanced, extremely objective people. And suddenly you find that they have lost control. In some cultures, they have professionals who come and cry in this thing. In Ireland, I believe there's something called the wake. And they have these banshees. These banshees, they cry, and very high-pitched crying, I'm told, which you hear very far away. And they're professional banshees. They'll come on this when they have a wake, and they will cry on behalf of everybody. And of course, after they will all have a drink and a party and so on. But that's different. But death is seen like that. So every time Yamadharmaraja goes and collects a Jivatma, he leaves behind in the wake of his visit a lot of banshees and crying. So maybe he might have discovered that this is not quite what I thought it was. So then maybe he went ahead and started to question more, and went and asked perhaps Brahmaji, we don't know, that there is something which I have not understood. Like Narada also went, I think it was to Sanat Kumar, and he said to him, I have everything. I know everything. I know all the kalas, I know all the Upanishads, I know everything I know. But I'm still subject to sorrow. Why? You can know everything, but if you don't know the Vastu, you don't know that Nitya Vastu, you don't understand the Nitya Vastu, you will always be subject to the same thing. It's just a matter of degrees. Some are less, some are more. So even Narada Muni had this problem. He wanted to know, why am I subject to sorrow? And he was asked, so what do you know already? I want to know, he said. So what do you know already? So I know this whole list of things, he said, I know. But I'm still subject to sorrow. That can only go on understanding the reality of the self. As long as that even an element of identification with anything to do with the Jagat, whether it's a body, mind, sense complex, or relationships, or people, or anything else, as long as there's even a small bit of that left, this problem will continue. That is not to drive away people. It's not to say that, oh, no, you can't get it. You will. But one has to realize what is these that one is looking for. Dharmaraja, when he did the Nachiketa Agni, he didn't know. So later, he must have realized that there is more to it, and then learned the truth, assimilated it, and therefore is in a position of a guru, of a Shrotriya Brahmanistha, who can teach Nachiketa. Well, though there's a story form, you can see what is happening. The Tikakara says, I've seen that you are much better than I was at that time. Mattah adhika prajnosi iti santoshat stauti ityaha. Being very happy seeing Nachiketa much better in terms of understanding than he himself was at that time. Very happily he wants to teach Nachiketa. It says, Punarapitushtaha aha. Because I see that you are ready. I wasn't. I was still searching for the Nitya and the Anitya. And therefore it says, Mattaha adhika prajnosi. Interesting. Therefore, I am very happy that you asked this and you stayed with your intention of knowing this. The next verse, he continues the same thing. He continues to praise Nachiketa. Specifically in this verse, he's talking about Nachiketa's Vairagya. Very essential, necessary quality for anybody to gain this knowledge, the Vairagyam that he is talking about. Look at this. He lists all that Nachiketa was offered. And if you read this, you will realize what all he was offered. We already read that, but he's reinforcing those things. All the way up to Brahmaloka, I'll give you everything. I have the power to give you. All the way up to Brahmaloka. You can't get better than that. The whole Jagat is sustained by that Virat, that Virandya Sthula and Sukshma. You have access to all. I can give you access to all of that. Go to any loka. Enjoy everything that's available in any loka. You can have a very long life. If not that, I can give you a Rajyam, huge kingdom, in whatever form you want. All the objects of enjoyment, I can make you available to you. Song and dance and everything else. And what did you do? Tabaiva vava tavanritya gite. You did not accept any of them. If you had perhaps had 4 boons, you might have accepted this and then said, on the 4th boon, I want this. You had access to Svargaloka immediately. I gave you the process for it. I gave you how to get to Svargaloka. You got it for other people, not for yourself. I was so happy with the way you absorbed that I called it Nachiketa Agnihi. But you didn't want that. You wanted it for other people who are less qualified than you for moksha jnana. Your clarity was amazing. So he lists all that he's offered to Nachiketa in the next verse. And in that process, praises Vairagyam. That Vairagyam which comes from a certain Viveka about Nitya and Anitya Vastu. What can be Nitya Vastu and what can be Anitya Vastu? What is within the time frame and what in which time frame exists. That difference for you were able to see. And because of that, the Vairagya is born. And therefore, you are much better prepared than almost anybody else, including the way I was. Kamasyaptim jagata pratishtham
कामस्याप्तिं जगतः प्रतिष्ठा
krator Anantyam, Kratoranantyam Abhayasya Param.
Nandiyam Abhayasya
Want to break it down? Kratoho Anantyam Abhayasya Param.
Kratoho Anantyam Abhayasya Param.
Tomam Mahadurgayam Pratishtham
Stomam Mahadurgayam Pratishtham.
Drishtva Dhritya Dhiro Nachiketosyattasrakshihi.
Drishtva
Atyasrakshihi. We've seen this word before. You remember? I think 2 or 3 verses before, we came across this word. Atyasrakshihi. Parityaktavan. One who rejected, gave up all of these. Atyasrakshihi. Nachiketa gave up all this. What did he give up? How did he give up? Dhritya Dhiraha. With clear firmness. Keep your dancing girls and keep your vahana, keep everything. I don't want them. So clear and so firm. Dhritya Dhiraha. Your capability to think, your intelligence, and your firmness. Hey Nachiketa, you rejected all of them. Why did you reject all of them? It is not that you're rejecting something you don't know. You knew all that. You asked for that Agni, which will give you Svargaloka, because you knew the Svargaloka was important. It's not that you didn't know. You know, some of these tribes which are stuck in places across the world, isolated from the rest of the world, they will sometimes give away very valuable things for some beads, because they don't know the value. They cast away pearls for some plastic beads, because you don't know. Sometimes, in fact, I have done that myself. You know, we had a huge gramophone, hand-wound gramophone, which perhaps had a lot of antique value. When I was a child, we used to play on that. I don't know where it went. Today, it probably has a lot of value. It was a fancy one at that time. I didn't know the value. If you don't know the value, you throw it away, it's okay. But here, Nachiketa is not that he didn't. Drishtva, having seen and having examined them, Nachiketa rejected them. Hey, Nachiketa, what all did you reject? Kamasyaptim jagataptishtam. Height of kama, everything that you can imagine, get in terms of desires. Kratoho anantyam abhayasya param. The kind of thing that you can get by karma and upasana, anantyam, huge, vast things that I can give you, huge kingdom, huge lokas, where you're completely free of all fear. Abhayasya param. And vast, glorious, stomam, mahaturgayam, huge, pradishtam, which sustained the entire earth. All that also you had on offer. And you rejected all of it. Nachiketa atyasrakshihi. We will look at the meaning in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat
Om Purnamada Purnamidam
Purnasya Purnamadaya Purname
Purnamevavashishyate
Om
Shanti
Shanti
Shanti.
Hari
Hari Om Shri
Guru
Guru
Namaha.
Namaha.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.